Again, you definitely don't want to select your entire C drive to back up. That's going to be especially online. If you're backing up to a local drive, to a USB drive or something of that nature, then selecting your entire C drive is still not a good idea, but it's not going to be as resource intensive as if you're trying to select the entire C drive to back up online. Ideally, the destination or the online device is going to be for your critical data and not things like your Windows installation folder and program files and things of that nature. You may come across a situation where you are creating a backup set, or you've got a backup set that you want to edit, and you notice that you cannot select a file to be backed up. No matter what you do, you cannot select this checkbox. It just will not check. There's a couple of reasons for that, and the first one is that the file has already been backed up. If the file has already been backed up, then you're not going to be able to select it if it's not been changed or something like that. Excuse me. And let's take a look at why. This this folder here that we're looking at with desktop tools install is in the My Documents folder. If I open up the actual My Documents folder, I can see that I've got those files here. Looking over at the Attributes tab, you can see that the archive flag has been cleared. In other words, there's no A here, indicating that the files have been backed up. Now, if I go in here and create a new text file, and let's just put some random text in there, we can see here that the archive flag exists, indicating that this file needs to be backed up. We can minimize that, go back out over here. Again, we're going to have to refresh this, go back into My Documents, and you can see that the new text document now has the checkbox checked by default. Now, I could obviously unselect that, but if we want to back it up, then that's the scenario to be in. You want to have your My Documents, for example, backed up by default. Okay, now let's go back in and let's change. I have no idea what's in this guy, but let's change him again with some random text. We'll save that off and close it. Go back to the client. We will refresh that page and we can see that the box is now selected because that file just changed, so it needs to be backed up. The archive flag again is set, and you can see it there. The second case where you may or you may not be able to select a file, or actually, yeah, the second case where you may not be able to select a file is if you have created a filter, and we'll go over a little more depth with the filters, but let's just illustrate it real quick. Go to the Filter tab, and what I'm going to do here is I am going to just tell the client that I only want to back up EXEs, or applications, that executables. So what that does is it applies the filter to my current job here. And you can have different filters for different jobs. And you can see that even though my install and my new text document both have the archive flag set, indicating that they have not been backed up, because I've put that filter in place that I only want to back up EXEs, I can't select these guys. So if you get to a point where you cannot select a file, then it's either, again, it's already been backed up, or there's a filter in place. There's a third reason that a file may not show up, or it may not be selectable, and that's because it is in they call it the default global exclude filter. And the way to see that is go to the default settings link, and then go to advanced options and click on the edit default exclude filter. This will open up in Notepad or your default text editor, and this is a list of the files and directories that they either won't appear, you won't be able to see them, or you can't select them. Like the recycler is in the file. We can go out to the client, we won't be able to see the recycler, or we won't be able to select the recycle bin. Keep in mind that if you add or delete something from this list here, say you want the recycle bin backed up. Bad idea, don't do it. But if you took this out, the next upgrade to the backup client is going to overwrite this file. So this is not going to stay um, static from one version of the backup client to the next. You'd have to go back in and recreate that. So that's where you can edit that if you wish, or if you see that your backup set size doesn't match your what you would expect. In other words, if you have 1 gig of data selected, but the backup client is only backing up 900 meg, it may be that there are some files in that in that default filter list that aren't going to be backed up. And we can go over and look for the recycler, and we cannot check that even if we take out the filter that I created a minute ago. We cannot select the recycle bin, and it's not something that you want to select. Anyway, so that's kind of the 3 big ideas behind if you cannot see a file, or you can't select the file, chances are it's in one of those 2 things. If you need any help with it, give us a yell. Now we're going to move on to creating a backup job or a backup